Greetings, dear friends. Let's continue working. To implement the visual part, we need to create a block. So let's move to the code. Go to the plugin block game store and make a starting template. Let's take recent news as a basis. Our block will be dynamic because it contains taxonomy. Let's rename this directory. Net header. And let's go through the metadata carefully. Now for the fields, let's take a look. We essentially have one field for the title, one field for the description, and a field for the background of everything else. These are dynamic data and with taxonomies, so we are only investing in 3 fields now. We remove the count, keep the title, keep the description, and keep the image. Everything else remains wonderfully for us. Regarding styles, number 1, that we remove the styles for the admin panel. Next, for edit. By components, we basically keep all these components. For attributes, we delete the count since we removed it. Consequently, we also delete the component that loads the text control for the count. So, we have the title, description, and image as the only things we have. The server-side render will probably keep that too. In principle, this type of block can be made static for the admin panel, meaning you can define the components. But we didn't show this dynamic part, while on the front end it already shows the dynamic part. I sometimes do this. So maybe we can try to create a new type of hybrid block here. Therefore, here is the render, the site. We will simply remove it. Add rich components, text and loading too. Consequently, we'll remove. Copy the rich text from some existing block. Here. And let's take a look. So, first of all, we have a certain container with a mask here. Let's look into the styles. But there won't be a container. It's made with a pseudo element before. All right. So we won't make a container, but we'll probably make a container for the wrapper so that if the title is very wide, it automatically takes the necessary width. Therefore, we create a crater, and inside we throw this text speech. We will have 2 of them. So this is the main page title. Therefore, it will be H1. We leave it as H1. And the second component will be a simple paragraph. And we change the attribute keys so that it loads the necessary data. So wonderful. Now we also need to load the background image. Let's take it from the subscribe block. So we set the width to 100% and load the image as a background. It seems we've implemented everything for the admin part. Let's move on. Let's go over the styles a bit for the front part. Regarding widths, we don't do anything. As for the margins, you see the block. We don't have margins either, so we can safely delete everything. Next, we change the ID for our main selector. In it, we have text align, center, position related background size cover. We leave this before section for the mask num, so our heading turns into H1. Then we check the sizes. The sizes here are 54, which is the size for H2, so we need to override it. When I set H1 here, it will already take 64. I'll take the size from Game Store. I need this size. I have to override it for H1. The rest of the styles remain. They are inherited. Everything is great. Necessary. We remove. Next, we will register a new block. For this, we go to PHP. The block is dynamic, so it will have a callback. I will create this callback. All right, now let's run the compiler. The compiler has started. Let's go to the editor and add. We are now just going to edit the template. News archive. But we don't have it, so we will create it. Let's go to templates, template. We look for the templates directory. Here we need to create an archive, dash news. Next, in this archive, we will add the header and footer. The rest of the body. Then we will fill it further. Go back to the editor, refresh. Now the new template will appear. Let's go into it and add our new block, news header. Then drag it to the center. So this block is generating an error. Most likely we made a typo somewhere. We will fix it now. So yes, we simply didn't load the rich text components. Let's go to our block. In Hossen, edit, we go up and load the rich text. It is located in the editor block. Refresh the page. Wonderful. Now our block is present on the page. Let's fill it with data. So why exactly is the header white? Apparently, in the style, is it colored? Yes, apparently. Indeed, this needs to be removed from here. Let's save it, and at the same time, save the image. For this, we'll switch to design mode. Turn off the mask and disable it, everything that is inside. And export this block. Essentially, I have the block of the container itself selected. I'll return it back. What I closed. I'll save the page. I'll refresh it with cache clearing. Wonderful. Now the styles are loading. For the header, it is perfectly visible. We are missing paddings. So let's add them. We add them directly to the parent component. So let's check why the pseudo element. Our variables are not working. We created the editor file and it doesn't see these variables because we load the file within Gutenberg, but when we are in the editor, it doesn't load them for us. We need to fix this issue as well. Let's go to function, where we loaded them. We load this in the editor assets block. The function is where you inserted it to load directly in Gutenberg, and there's an option to load it throughout the entire admin area using the admin enqueue script hook. But that's not correct because there are many pages where Gutenberg doesn't exist, and we end up loading these styles there. However, there's another hook that allows us to load it specifically on the editor MP site area. Let's try to load this onto the block now. Let's also duplicate this hook, but change the function directly. Block assets. Let's proceed with the same. And of course, we will register it here using the VPN gun, meaning we give it an ID, path. We check ARG to ensure it is correctly specified. The fact that this loading was commented out, I don't remember if we said it correctly. It seems everything looks right. Let's test it. So we save this and go back. We are currently in the editor area, not on the editing page. And for this reason, we didn't see these variables. Now we fixed it. Great. They are loading for us now. And this approach I use for blocks that are semi-hybrid, meaning in the admin panel I only display static data while dynamic, and consequently the static ones are displayed on the front end. Let's fix something else for the admin panel. These are the margins. All right, wonderful. Next, we work on the front part. Let's go to the PHP file blocks. We can probably copy the body so we don't have to write much from another block. And I'll do this from the news archive block because it has exactly what we need. This recent news. I'll add it, but I'll remove a lot, of course, because it has a loop and we don't need this loop. Let's remove this loop. We are only interested in the image. Next, of course, we are interested in the attributes. Don't forget to pass them here. Then we run this. Next, we leave the container, attach the image to it. Inside, we remove the loop. We simply output the title, simply output the description. By the way, here we have for the title and for the description, firstly, H1 is used. Secondly, I remember we set classes. Let's write them here as well. In fact, this won't affect anything right now because when the block is dynamic, Gutenberg doesn't look into the content, specifically the front part. So classes are not necessary to match, but if it's static, then it's very important there. If you make a mistake with just one class, the entire block will constantly show a recovery block in the admin panel. Here, let's close all the files because it's hard to search in the list. Like this, and now this list, and let's close the blocks that we are not editing. I just increased the font size so you can comfortably see the code, but the navigation is not very convenient. And I'll take these classes. Since I wrote them, let them be with us too. For us. Next, this wrapper I will place right here. So in my admin panel, first comes the main container, then the wrapper. Here, we remove everything. This loop will not be here. This else in principle, along with the bracket and by div. Now you open two, therefore I close two. I'll just do it neatly like this, so that the consequences also match. We no longer need the post data reset we use it only when there is a query and a loop. And here we now need to display these taxonomies. Let's look at the front part, how it appears for us. First of all, let's figure out how to get to this news page. The link will look like this. If we enable permalinks, and we did enable them in previous lessons, then by writing this way in the news link, we will get to this active page. Here I access it and see what I just wrote in the template and file. Let's retrieve the terms for the taxonomy. Maybe we will have some variable terms. Terms, news, and the function get terms. We will take it, which means we will look into the news category taxonomy. This is our taxonomy. For the post type news, here it is. I'll copy paste it once more to avoid mistakes. And will we hide empty? Terms, meaning terms without posts, well, probably false. Let them all be visible. We will extract everything we have there. And consequently, if we have a term, it means we will display them here. Therefore, let's add a check to see if this variable is not empty. And in WordPress, it's also good practice to check out, so make it a habit to write this from WP and pass this variable again for auto-completion. Of course I chose OK. I filled the body. This body is for me. It suits me perfectly. It essentially generates a container for us, then generates a certain list. I don't always like adding lists. I just do it with simple divs. So let's do it as follows. We'll just change the layout to HTML, a little bit, simplify it. Essentially, we look at what we have in the variable terms and iterate through it in a loop. By the way, notice that it also generates a link for us using the getTermLink function. I don't know if we need a link here, but we probably do. I'll also show you how to create a template for the term archive. That is, when we enter a specific category. So yes, we'll indeed leave the name as a link. But besides that, we'll also need an icon. Let's make a check for the icon. Essentially, we'll create an icon URL variable for ourselves and assign a value to it of the meta box. So the meta for terms is retrieved using the getTermMeta function. The first parameter will be the ID. The second parameter is the key of the meta itself, and the third parameter is true to return it as a string. So the ID metTerm, referring to the term object by the termid key, we will replace this icon with the key of our meta box. So our key is news category icon. I don't remember if we used an underscore or not. Let's check. So in Core Game Store, we are looking for the function where we saved. Here's the termite update. We have the same name without the underscore. So we leave it as it is. Okay. So when we have icon and oral, we can display the icon. Let's be clever here. First of all, we will perform a check here because it might be that the meta is empty, and then it's kind of empty for us. Displaying M and G tags is not very good. So if we have them, we will show them here like this and M and G. So auto completion, I press tab again to fill in the M and G tags as a link. I call the getter meta again to get this value. Otherwise it's empty. and I can now simply concatenate this icon to the link. Let's see what we get on the website. Here we get these variables where they are displayed, why they are not visible well. They are under a mask, apparently. So we should set position relative on this report like this, and they will move up. Apparently, the styles are specified separately for the header and the description. Our layout has changed a bit. These two values I recommend, and we are forced to add them to the sanctuary. And then our links will appear. At the same time, we will specify for the links, so this container will be display, flex. Also step and content center G16. I rely on this. What is the center? Add, they will be of different heights, 24. Margin button. We have 0. It's not here. Here it's like 48. We will do it here. For what purpose margin top 48? So as not to set flexbox on the parent. After all, this way there are fewer styles, fewer lines. And for sons, we will specify the following styles. I will switch to development mode and copy the posts. I will simply take also padding 24. Guard sizing. Vigorous box. So, well, for the text, I will take the styles. Also add them to the same selector. Next, this element itself, it will probably be a flex 2 because there are 2 elements inside and a gap of 24 pixels. Therefore, we will additionally add several properties. Flex, gap, 24. Align items, center. And update. So next, the underline for the link, we take a why the inner one didn't work. Because inside the link there's this image. No big deal, but we might be clever here, guys. We'll make the entire link a button because it's convenient not to have to aim at the text. And just like that, you aim at the button and it all becomes super with this tag. And we'll add to the selector. We'll cut it out from here. Now it's much better. I won't cut it out right now. The other images, I think 3 links are quite enough. Basically, this is what we needed to implement. Let's go back to the editor once more, check the main page. Now we see that the styles are loading clearly even on this page. This is due to the adjustments we made. Next, let's go into the templates. I wanted to comment on something additional. Here is our current template. You see, it's also nice, it brings the view closer and it's clear how it should look. In the next lesson, we will work on the active box. And basically with the naked eye, right away you can see what kind of page this is. I wanted to comment up a little on the single. Comment Here is the single that we created in previous lessons. We have in the function, or more precisely in the callback, there are functions written that use global IDs, and it tries to take the post ID, and now I am in the editor, and logically it doesn't have a post ID. It loads an empty block for us. And that's not nice. For such blocks, I recommend and personally use a placeholder. That is, roughly speaking. I take a screenshot of this area and display it for the admin panel. That is not a render. I call it specifically an image, as we did at the beginning of the course in one of the lessons. So keep this feature in mind. That is, if this block is called within Gutenberg on the post editing page, of course all the information will load there. But when I am on the editor page, due to global functions, it cannot obtain a global view. That is, it receives some ID of the current admin page, perhaps, but it's not the post ID and it doesn't have this data. This concludes the lesson. See you in the next lesson. Bye everyone.